Thank you. And thank you to our witnesses for joining us here today and seeing some of you again. I have a question with respect to some of the dealerships that are in my riding that I represent. According to a recent report, EV adoption nationwide is only 14.6%. There's 69 new car dealerships in Newfoundland and Labrador, and many of them are rural and they're family-run businesses. And they're reporting that they have these EVs just sitting on the lot, taking up space, tying up investment, capital, and it's threatening their viability. I'm just wondering what assessment has been done on how many of those dealerships are being hurt by unsold EV inventory that's tying up consumer choices, and what specific steps you're taking to prevent these mandates from weakening the already limited rural automotive retail network in specifically in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. I would say I think that's exactly one of the reasons why we're conducting this review, is to make sure that indeed the standards remain appropriate and fit for purpose, that they are working to the benefit of Canadians and also not hurting the auto sector. In terms of rural and remote regions, we do realize that it's important that there be the right options available for consumers that meet their needs, whether it's for long driving distance, cold weather, certain types and classes of vehicles. In terms of the 14.6%, we've actually seen that go down this year. It's right now sitting at around 9%, and we think that's perhaps due to a range of reasons. For example, the pause to the federal incentives for zero-emission vehicle program. So there is still that upfront cost for zero-emission vehicles that is a barrier to many Canadians, even though the life cycle costs do tend to work in their favor. So this is exactly the kind of thing we're looking at. We are speaking to the Canadian Automotive Dealers Association, so hearing directly from the Dealers Association on their views about what we should be considering in the review underway.
So I'm just curious, because I do think EVs are, right for certain consumers. So why wouldn't you just let the market determine? Like, why take this from a mandate perspective? Do you not trust that Canadians, if this is the right fit for them, would, make this their automobile of choice? Why take a mandate approach?
Well, I would say that the government has always approached this from the idea that you need a suite of measures in order to promote and support electric vehicle update. I
understand that, but why the mandate? Like, why? I guess that's what I'm getting to, because that signals no choice. That signals Canadians are restricted. So I'm just curious about the mandate component.
One of the reasons actually for the mandate was also because back about 5-10 years ago, there were issues where there was not adequate supply to meet consumer demand. So consumers were having very long waits for electric vehicles. They didn't have a wide range of selections from all different types of classes and segments of the market. So part of the intention is to send a strong signal to the auto sector about the importance of bringing many models to market for Canadians so that the right choices are there.
Yeah, so now that we're in a different environment now, would you suggest then that the mandate would be not necessary given what the sector is telling us now?
Well, we're receiving input, as my colleague mentioned, until midnight on November 4th. We've had a lot of discussions, so we're hearing a range of views from across industry and from other stakeholders. So we'll be taking all of that into account in terms of what options make sense going forward.
And also, just to build on that, I mean, I appreciated the information that you gave about, the lower cost to operate. And so, from that perspective, I don't understand why you wouldn't just allow the market to go ahead and transition, as opposed to, I mean, if those benefits are really that great, then why does the government have to continue to take this approach?
Well, again, I think, there are a range of factors, and one of them is that as zero-emission vehicle production is still ramping up globally, if Canada wants to be able to attract a good proportion of that, given our small market size, we need to use all the tools that we have at our disposal to attract those. I mean, we hear right now about new models that are coming to market that are not being made available in Canada, and the standard is one way of making sure that automakers are bringing that range in place.
How is that going? Like, where are we?
Well, the standard is not, the targets have not actually started to apply yet, as you know, and we've put a pause on the 2026 one. So we're still in early days.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess just a final thought. I mean, a lot of the people in my riding feel this disconnect, especially in rural Canada and the government, and they feel like there's always this top-down approach where their interests aren't being considered. What do you say to people who live in rural communities that don't like the government telling them what kind of vehicle they can drive and they feel like it doesn't suit their needs?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't purport to tell them what to think or what to do, but I would just say that, again, I think our goal is to make sure that there's a range of vehicles out there to meet every...
As it relates to the language around mandate, I guess. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to know where I was coming from.
Thank you very much. How will car dealers meet their targets if they have no customers or not enough customers looking to buy EVs? Will they have to rely on the compliance credit system? And what are the actual costs of those credits themselves, and who would bear them?
I'll try to remember all those questions. I think, first of all, just a few clarifications. First of all, it's not a requirement for each dealership to meet the sales standard. It's each company, so I just want to make sure that's clear. And again, I just go back to the fact that we're conducting a review right now, particularly to make sure that our standards are still realistic and achievable from a technology.
Okay, if I could ask, have you done an impact assessment of what the compliance credits would be expected to cost in the credit market?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if I understand what is intended by an impact assessment.
The manufacturer is sold 10% of the 20 in the incoming mandate. How much would a credit cost? You surely have done an assessment of what those costs would be for the manufacturer.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, the way that the credit market works is it's a private transaction between companies. So we don't necessarily have a full line of sight into what that cost will be because it's considered to be a private transaction. It's consumer confidence. We do sometimes receive that information from companies, but it's not something that we can divulge publicly to the committee.
Have you publicly made any statements regarding it costing roughly an equivalent to the $20,000?
What has been said publicly is that because that is an avenue for compliance is to invest $20,000 in charging infrastructure, that is could hypothetically be considered to be the upper bound of a cost, because why would someone pay $20,000 if they can comply at a lower rate by purchasing credits from another company?
There will be potentially a choice between up to probably $20,000 credit and a $20,000 tax on the vehicle. So to my colleague's question, either or, you could have a $20,000 fee added to the cost of the vehicle.
I'm not
because
sure
who's going to bear this cost? Ultimately, the consumer will, correct?
I'm not sure what is intended by a $20,000 tax, but I would just like to say that this is exactly the kind of thing that the review is looking at. So are these compliance flexibilities, such as the purchase of an infrastructure credit for $20,000, is that the appropriate level? Should it be something that is reconsidered to be at a lower level? Is it something that's even effective at all? So all of these things are on the table as part of the review that's underway.
Is there any Canadian companies that are currently in the seller's market of this credit scheme, or is the only seller with volume the American company Tesla?
So there are other companies selling EVs, and I'm not going to get into specific who is. Yeah, we have knowledge of other companies that are selling credits, but I'm not going to get into which ones. I don't think that's appropriate for me.
They're a completely electric company, so they would have an excess.
There are other companies, as you know, who only manufacture EVs, and there are others that are doing quite well that manufacture both ICE and EVs. So,
Are them Canadian? Because it seems to me Canadian manufacturers will be exporting their cash on hand to foreign companies to pay for this credit scheme.
So this regulation does not apply to the export of vehicles. Roughly 90% of the vehicles made by Canadian-based OEMs are sold into the U.S. market. So this regulation only applies in the domestic realm, and we do have some companies that are based in Canada that are also selling EVs here. So they all have different profiles in that regard or different levels of success. But yeah, that there are some Canadian-based companies that are selling EVs here, and
Are they selling more EVs than gas-powered vehicles? Like, that's how you gain a credit, correct?
No, just to confirm, in order to gain a credit, an automaker just has to, well, to gain a credit, you meet the target, the percentage target, and if you exceed that target, then that counts as a credit. You don't have to sell, at least in the early years, there's no need to sell more EVs than ICE vehicles.
As of right now, all the Canadian manufacturers are selling under 20%. I understand there's a pause. So none of them, in theory, would have credit. So my second question is, there seems to be no transparency about this market. How will Canadians know if there's a cost to a new vehicle built in through this compliance credit scheme?
I just wanted to clarify one thing, which is that there is some other flexibilities in the early years where they're called early action credits, which can count towards future target meeting.